I don't doubt that at all. Mark Stein on Substack. Maybe you saw this today. It is not seen as a certainty, according to one source briefed on the process, that the Kings will try again in the offseason to trade Domantas Sabonis after fielding in-season trade offers for the former All-Star big man. It is not seen as a certainty. There are scenarios, I'm told, says Mark Stein, that would steer Sacramento toward keeping Sabonis, who has 2 seasons left on his contract after this one, that depend on how the Kings fare in May's draft lottery and whom they are able to select in a draft headlined by Peterson, Domantas, and Cameron Boozer. You call it the hybrid rebuild. I call it the quick fix rebuild. It sounds like, according to these sources, that's something that is definitely still on the board for the Kings.
Yeah. And the question becomes, is it more likely if they get a top 3 pick or if they go 4 or 5? Because we've gone back and forth on this. Personally, I think if you get a top 3 pick, you're more likely to keep Sabonis. That's how I felt about it. If you go 4 or 5, hey, this ain't going to be ready, right? 4 or 5, it ain't going to be ready next year. We don't even see a 7, 8 seed. So let's go ahead and move Sabonis for the draft picks. However you can do that, we're not sure how you're going to be able to do that at that time.
Yeah, not to be redundant. I know we've talked about this. I would think one of these scenarios has to hinge on what happens with the lottery reform. Mm-hmm. And if it's basically a matter of you ain't going to be back in the lottery next year no matter what you do, then you have to think, all right, well, then do we have the wherewithal if we get a really good pick to climb back into some semblance of relevance next year?
Yeah.
We may be running out of options. It's possible that the whole plan here, 3 to 5 years maybe, to rebuild this thing, if they change the lottery format and the draft format, that might not be an option anymore.
No.
Change your total plan going forward.
Let's play with the idea of you can't have consecutive years at 1 through 4. So let's say the Kings get 1 through 4. And now you have to make a decision because you know you're going to get 5 at best in a really bad draft, right? I don't even know if that draft is going to be 4 guys deep based on how they're talking about it. So you know the best you can do is 5. Now, at that point, do you dig deeper or do you say, all right, because I guess you could trade Sabonis and try to get more draft picks, or do you say, well, let's see how this season goes? I think either way, based on the reform, this is now a wait and see, and it could affect based on how these rules come out. If they say you are not going to have a top 4 pick next season, I think that makes them more likely to hold on to Sabonis, right?
Yeah, I think so. Now, if they change the rules such that it makes no sense for the Kings to tank, I understand tanking makes sense. But if the rules are changed to the point where it's not really an option, I know it would be inherently unfair, but just as a fan, I think I'd be okay with that. I'm having a hard time imagining 2 or 3 more years of this. I get it, but I don't want to go through that, Alan.
Are you starting to come to the hybrid side?
Only if you're forced into it. Mm-hmm. If you have an option still of tanking long-term and you decide, nah, we're scrapping that probably doesn't make sense. But I don't want to go through 2, 3+ years like what Detroit went through. And I know they got through it and they ended up in a good spot. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. The main question here is how many rules are they going to implement? Are they going to say no more protections on picks when you trade them and you can't be 1 through 4? Is it just going to be the 1 through 4 thing? Is it just going to be the protections thing? What is it?
Yeah.
And how many things
Great
are
question.
they going to try to implement?
Yeah, I know. And I'm just hoping it's not going to be one of those things where, you can't really explain it to someone because it's so convoluted. I think those are bad for the league. I hope whatever it is, it's kind of clean. I think they should just leave it the way it is, but it sounds like they're not gonna.
Yeah.
Maybe if they are trying to distract people from something else, maybe at some point they will decide they'll just do a little tweak here or there. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like they mean business.
Yeah, I could see this conversation being flipped, and I could see it turning into a situation where more teams on the outside are looking at that hybrid rebuild, just like what the Wizards just did and the Jazz as well. and they could say, hey, we're going to go get Sabonis because our like the Nets, for example, our stink has to end because there's nothing, we can't do much else, right? The Hornets, go get you a Domantas Sabonis. And then because it's not a great draft, you just take multiple bites at the apple, and all of a sudden, let's say the Kings have 2 picks in the lottery of 2027, something like that. And even though it's not supposed to be a good draft, I would still look to do that, even though I've been Mr. Hybrid Rebuild and it's not supposed to be a good draft. I would say, hey, if you're able to get 2027 and a 2029 for Domantas Sabonis because nobody cares about the 2027 picks, and now you have 2 picks in the lottery next season, or 1, which is your own, and the other is 14 or 15, I'd probably still take a chance and do that versus my hybrid rebuild. If I can get, I think whenever people, because there are some hits, right? We compared it to 2024. There were some hits in there, not a ton, but you get a couple options there.
Sorry, I just checked Tankathon here, and one of my favorites shows up here in a King slot. I was just checking to see who Tankathon has for the Kings in the second round, because they have, as of right now, they have 41 and 31. 31, this doesn't make sense because they already are well-stocked at this position, but I gasped audibly when I saw 31, Sacramento, Flory Badunga.
Wow. Is he, correct me if I'm wrong, is that redundant with your boy,
yeah,
Dylan
definitely.
Cardwell?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
But I just, yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't
I'm just double checking.
Because especially if you're keeping Domas.
And Maxime?
Yeah.
That's too many.
Yeah, unless you figure he could play at the 4. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but I just love him. So, yeah, the question is how much better could the Kings be next year just from their draft picks? That's why I was checking the second rounders. You'd have pick 1 through 5, somebody in there, also pick 31 and pick 41. We don't know who it's going to be, but reasonably, how much better could this Kings team be next year? If it's like, all right, the rebuild is no longer in the plans. The league is making it so that we can't do that. How much better could they be next year with a top pick and a couple other picks?
I think it connects to the vets, right? Based on this and who you get, does that affect if you hold on to DeMar DeRozan? You still have that contract if you want.
Yeah.
I don't know because you're still playing for the future. So to me, I would still look to, because you were never going to get great value back for DeMar. You have Zach LaVine, even whether he likes it or not.
I honestly forgot about it.
Yeah. You're going to take that $49 million and you're going to like it.
Yeah.
I think you have Zach LaVine, depending on who you get. I don't know about the Westbrook convo. I can't have that right now. But you need some type of point guard.
DeAndre Hunter.
And DeAndre Hunter.
Domantas Sabonis.
I mean, I think they're a spicy 8 seed, but you're doing it via play-in. It's literally a better version of what we thought could happen this season. Mm-hmm. You have Keegan Murray, who, based on gameplay alone, will not be any better than he was this season because he has not played. So you're not getting necessarily a better version of Keegan. You're, I don't know, getting a less involved version of Zach LaVine. You are getting 2 young guys at least, and another year of Neek and Maxime. Yeah, I don't know. Let me ask you this. Who do you believe in more? Because I'm trying to think of the bottom of the West, right? We don't know what the Jazz are going to look like, but are they better than if the Jazz is the 8 or 9 or 10?
It depends on who they get, too.
Yeah. Are they better than the Jazz? No. Are they better than the Blazers? No.
Probably not. Again, depending on who gets who and how that all comes out in the wash, yeah.
Are they better than the Suns? They don't have a pick.
I would think that if your hand is forced and you have to go to use Alan's term, the hybrid rebuilds, like the other plan is not an option. I would think you have to move off of Zach. It's like, there's too much baggage there. Mm-hmm. I don't see how all right, we'll figure it out. Oh, yeah, come on, Zach. You'll help us win now. Here we go.
What are you saying after this? What are you saying? He opts in and then you just try to trade him?
I just don't see how it's going to work. Yeah, one way or the other. I mean, it's just a dead end, I think.
If you trade Zach.
I know that's tricky. I don't know that it's easy to do, but I just don't think it helps you or him.
Well, number one, if these tank rules, again, same conversation with Sabonis. If these tank rules come out and they really affect people, Zach LaVine could be a bigger help to teams. He's already an expiring contract, but he could be a bigger help to teams that, well, might as well try to sneak into the playoffs because, the tank thing isn't going to work. So I think that could help there. The other question would be, if you do move on from Zach, are you more likely to keep DeMar DeRozan? Because you can't have both, but maybe if you keep DeMar, we've seen DeMar change his game. So I feel fairly confident saying you can control, or not control, but you can talk to DeMar and have conversations about him picking his spots. So I don't know that I would necessarily mind keeping DeMar if you move on from LaVine, but you can't have both.
Yeah. What a mess, right? I mean, what a mess. This roster's still such a mess.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You're forgetting guys that are on the team.
I know. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. Trust me, he wishes he was out of sight and out of mind. But 49 million reasons not to be, though.
As far as last night's win, okay, great. A feel-good win for the short term, but you still got to be real careful. And I'll tell you what, Alan, one of the lessons to me from last night is you look at the way Memphis played last night and the team they had out there on the court. Down the stretch of this season, the tanking around the league is going to get even more intense.
Yeah.
Teams are going to be tanking as hard as they can. And if the league says, we will fine you, a lot of these teams, if not all of them, will say, that's fine.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. They are preparing.
We have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. They are preparing for what's next. And basically they're saying to themselves, hey, when we get to next season, we'll get to next season. But until then, and by the way, Jazz, Vince Williams Jr., season-ending torn left ACL. Now that one, torn ACL, you're going to be out for the season. So the Jazz.
It was Tari Eason, right?
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up because Tari Eason's getting roasted for what a lot of people are saying was a dirty play. Did you happen to see it?
I did not.
Okay. There was a fast break. And Vince Williams was kind of trailing. And Tari Eason looked like he kind of threw him a little chicken wing or something. And Vince Williams went down funny. And you could see it was one of those things that
the wiggle
you want to look at.
Yeah.
And then Tari Eason scored after the game. Keontae George was covering his mouth. And he was telling Tari Eason, you could tell he was telling him what happened. And Tari Eason was like, he put his hands on his head. He had no idea. So to me, it was a rough play. It wasn't that he undercut somebody. He shouldn't have done it, but to me it wasn't an overtly dirty play, and I hope he doesn't get roasted for that. It was ill-advised, but I thought it was just kind of a physical play, and he happened to hit a guy in stride at just the wrong angle, and again.
No, that's a freak accident. I'm watching it now. They do that type of stuff all the time. I mean, Tari is a very.
He did give him a little shoulder or something.
No, he did.
Yeah.
He did. I mean, I think especially the Rockets.
I hate dirty plays, but when I saw that, my reaction was not that was a dirty play.
No, there's nobody in the air or anything like that. He's a physical player. We know that. We wanted him in Sacramento when we thought there was still going to be an opportunity for them to do something. But, yeah.
So we agree on that.
That's not dirty to me.
Yeah. And then, honestly, you could see his genuine reaction after the game. He was very upset that he had injured Williams in that fashion. Sacramento right now, 13-46. Indiana, 2.5 games better than that. Indiana is highly motivated to tank because, remember, that pick is only protected, 1 through 4? Yeah, so and next year they think they have a chance to be really good, better than last year if Halliburton comes back. Halliburton, by the way, has shingles.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Not fun.
No.
Not fun. Yeah, it is very sensitive. Very sensitive on the skin and it's just weird.
I never had chicken pox when I was a kid.
Oh.
So I got it from my kids
when
I was in my 30s. And I've had cancer. Chicken pox was worse. It was terrible. And after a few days, I went to the doctor. The doctor said, we have pills now. Why didn't you come in sooner? They have antivirals. And then once I took that, I was on the road to recovery. But he's like, why didn't you come in sooner? We could have done something about it.
But do your kids have everyone's got the famous pictures with all the cream on all of, all the dots, the chicken pox dots?
Not every family documents everything visually.
Everyone's got a picture with their kids and the chicken pox dots. Do kids still get chicken pox? Do I have to worry about that? now?
Not like it used to be.
Okay. Because it was coming of age back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like I lived in the 40s.
Well, no, I'm asking
and plus,
you.
this was when my kids were young.
That's why I'm asking.
I did not get it.
Thank you for being, so old.
I lived in the Wild West. I never got it.
Oh, I'm just asking a question. Do I have to, worry about that or not?
I think so.
Okay.
But I don't really know. Yeah.
She's in daycare now. Mr. Larry's going to say, hey, has anybody got dots? Because I'm just double checking.
Sacramento.
Hello, Larry.
Yeah. Sacramento 13-46. Indiana 15-43. Brooklyn 15-41. So they're 3.5 better than the Kings. And then New Orleans, that pick going to the Hawks, they're 3.5 games better. And then Washington, 4.5 games better. You just look at the streaks of these teams recently. Sacramento, of course, one of their last 10 they've won. They're 1-9. Indiana 3-7. Brooklyn 3-7. New Orleans 4-6. Washington 4-6. Utah 3-7. Dallas 1-9. Utah is coming.
Yes.
By that I mean going.
Yes.
Everything's upside down. These teams are going to be tanking hard, Allen. That's fine. You got a feel-good win, but let's not get carried away with talk of a winning streak.
Yeah.
Can't have it.
Nope. Can't do it, and I'm not even we're not gonna go through the schedule again until we get to March, which is around the corner.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be real. There were some people maybe panicking, but you should be safe. I know they always play the Rockets tough, but should be safe in Houston tomorrow. But you never know. Somebody said something about the Rockets. They said the Rockets are going to lose a playoff series by 6 games, and you're gonna look back and say they should have won 5 of those games. They have been tricking off in fourth quarter. So I'll tell you this much, Whitey, you don't know. Something is off in H-Town.
I wonder what it could be or who it could be.
I don't know.
Can fit be a factor when the Kings make their draft pick? We're all over that next on Sactown Sports.